Welcome to AETCM, the emergency medicine channel. Today, let's see something regarding medical, legal, ethical issues. As a paramedic, what are the key things we have to remember while transport or while giving in care? What are the legal and ethical issues? What we have to remember, what we have to concern. First thing, how we can differentiate ethics from laws. So both are confusing terms. I'm giving a three differentiation between ethics and laws. So ethics, what is the ethics? Here we can differentiate with law. First, ethics. Ethics is a set of principles that determines what is right and what is wrong. Means these are the set of principles. Doing a good to the other person, it's a right thing, and then doing a harm to other person, otherwise telling a lie, these are the wrong things. So ethics, it's just a set of principle that will determines which act is good and which act is wrong act. It's like a set of principle, either it given by our own personal principles, otherwise our society will give some set of principles. In the case of law, it's a rules and regulation, it given by the authority. It's a rules and regulation given by the specific authority, otherwise government authority, in which way we have to act to good for the community. So they will give us some rules and regulation that's given by the authority. So here we can tell us, so externally they are giving something. So we can tell us a law is a external control of mechanism, like that we can tell external controlling mechanisms, because they are giving some rules and regulation. By the way, we have to act like that. Externally they are giving like some rules and regulation. In the case of ethics, we can tell as a internal controlling mechanism. So internally we are fixing something, we should not lie, we should not harm the person, like that we are internally fixing some principle. By the way we are acting, means that's a ethics. Law means it's external control of mechanism, we should not lie, otherwise the rules and regulation will give some set of manners, like that we have to act, otherwise we have to face the consequences. By the way, if you breach, if you for not obeying the rules and regulation, means you have to face the consequences by the legal authority. In laws, if you breach the rules and regulation, you have to face the consequences. In ethics, if you breach the rule, means your conscience will question you. If you are a good person, your conscience will question you in the ethics part. So this is the three things regarding the ethics, how we can differentiate from ethics to the laws. Ethics from the laws. Ethics, it's a set of principles that determines which is a good, otherwise which is a right and wrong act. In comes under a laws, means it's a rules and regulation given by the official or authority or government enforces. So laws, we externally they are giving something, so we can tell as a external control of mechanism. In ethics part, it's a internal, we are fixing something and then we are acting based on that. So internal control of mechanism. In laws, if you breach or if you not obeying the law, means you have to face the consequences. That may be a simple fine to the until major consequences based on that act. But if you breach the ethics part, means if you are a good person, your conscience will question you. So how we can as an example, how we can do, means if you are transporting, if you transporting one person from the scene or home, wherever it is, while transportation the person have a complaints of nausea or vomiting something. So you have all anti-emetic, and then if you are not giving a correct anti-emetic, otherwise if you are neglecting that complaints, you are not giving any medication, means that will, if your ethics, some other time that will, your conscience will question you. If the person complained to the law enforcement, and then by the law enforcement they were found you are not given adequate treatment, you are not given antiemetics, by the way of investigation they were found, means based on that law, based on that law sector, you will face the consequences. So everything comes under the laws and ethics part. In both are most important thing. So what are the three major things, whichever healthcare professional we may be, but three major things every time we have to keep in mind is that do no harm, act in good faith, and then always act in the person's best interest. Means what is mean by do no harm? So while doing a simple assessment, from starting from the simple assessment and then transport treatment, means you should not harm the person. If you know the procedure, otherwise if you know well thoroughly know about that procedure, means you can proceed, otherwise you just given to the another person, otherwise your crew member. So you should not harm from your simple assessment, treatment, even the transport also. So act in good faith and always act in the person's best interest. What is mean means, so if the person is unconscious, otherwise you are facing the person is incompetent to take adequate, otherwise correct decision. So on the time you have to act like in a person's best interest. Means think, if you are that person, means what's the best care you will expect. Like that you have to think and then you have to act. Most importantly, you have to act in good faith. You have to act in good faith, and then if you are well versed about the procedure, means you have to do about the you have to do more confidently. That's also most important. So knowing a thing is a different part, and then performing it's in a more confident way also, it's another important thing. So do no harm, act in good faith, act in person's best interest. These are the three major things we have to keep in mind. So now we'll see this. What are the common things in medical legal ethical part? First one, civil law suit, means it's a legal action taken by a private person or entity. It's called plaintiff. What is meant by plaintiff means the person who is filing a complaint. The person who is filing a complaint against another private person or entity, otherwise the defendant. It's a simple term. So civil lawsuit means the one person filing a complaint against the another person. Here, in our thing, we have to keep in mind. So whichever person we are treating, they have a rights to take a action against us. They have a rights to take a legal action against us. Means if the person is, if the person, otherwise the person bystander feeling or medical care is inappropriate or otherwise inadequate, means they have a rights to take action, otherwise legal action against us. It's called civil lawsuit. So that's the most important thing we have to keep in mind. Then other three terms are battery, assault, false imprisonment. So what is mean by battery? When the EMS provider touches, most important key point, touches another person, otherwise the person, in a harmful, offensive way with or without her consent. So the two important thing, battery means the EMS provider touches the patient more offensive way without her consent. First, it's mean battery, and then assault. The EMS provider instills the fear of immediate bodily harm or breach of bodily security that includes loss of freedom to another, otherwise the person, regardless of whether the threat of harm is actually carried out or not. I can simplify easily, I can tell one example. So, if you are telling one person, I am going to kick you. So, if you are telling like I am going to kick you, so it's called, you are telling I am going to kick you, it's a assault. So, to another person you are telling I am going to kick you, it's a assault. Actually kicking the person, otherwise kicked means, that's called, comes under the category of battery. So, you are telling like I am going to kick you, it's a assault. You are telling, okay, that's why instills, and then whether the threat of harm is actually carried out. Here, if you kicked, otherwise you were kicking the person means that comes under the battery. That's why we told touches the person without consent. So it's about the battery and assault. The third thing is a false imprisonment, means it's a other category of battery. What is meant by false imprisonment means when a person is intentionally or unjustifiably detained against his or her will by the another, otherwise the EMS provider, without consent, transporting a person, otherwise treating a person, otherwise assessing a person comes under the category of false imprisonment. That's why we told it comes under the part of battery. So the final thing, you should take the consent. Without consent, if you are doing means that will comes under the category of battery, that will comes under the category of assault, that will comes under the category of false imprisonment. So these are the three major important terms. So other thing is a libel. What is meant by libel means libel is making a false statement in a written format. So if you are making a if you are writing a PCR, person's care report, patient care report means there if you are writing a wrong form, a wrong statement means that will called libel. What is meant by slander means you are making a false statement in a oral format. While giving your over, if you are giving a false statement in oral format means verbally you are giving oral, verbally or orally you are telling means that's part of slander. Libel means written form, slander means false statement in oral form, verbal form. Either libel and slander differentiation. And then other most important thing is while writing a PC or otherwise, while giving an hand off or hand on over means you should the report otherwise that whichever over we are giving, that should not judgmental or more offensive way. You have to give a more a constant manner. You should have some ethical point in that also. What are the example we can tell means the person is appears to be drunk, like that you should not write. Instead of you can write like the patient smelled of ethyl alcohol or ethanol, like that you can write. You can modify your sentence, otherwise you can modify whichever the best way you can do. So likewise libel and then slander, you should the report, otherwise the hand of over, it should not contain a judgmental or offensive manner. The patient appears to be drunk, like that you should not write. You can write like you can modify your sentence like that. The patient smelled of ethyl alcohol, otherwise ethanol, like that you can write. Here also think if the person belongs to your family means what's the concern you will give to them, like that you have to think about it every person. So next related with an person health information, otherwise personal protective health information. What are the things we have to do and then what are the things we should not. So first we will see the what are the don'ts we have to do in PHI, otherwise person's health information. This is the things about the should not, otherwise don't. Where we should not disclose the person health information means we should not share our information to the people not involved in the patient care. So those who not involved in patient care, you should not share your information to them. Second thing, even sharing with other paramedics also subject you to liability. With the other crew member, with the other not the person is not involving person's patient care means there you should not share. And then second thing, they are telling like even sharing with other paramedic also liability comes under the liability part. Second thing, if the while transfer, if you are getting other person, otherwise media person also traveling with your crew means there also without person consent you should not disclose the person information. So first thing, we should not share the person's information with the people those who not involved in the patient care. Sharing other paramedics also should not. And then third thing, if the media person, otherwise other person traveling with you in the crew while transporting means without person consent you should not share. So here whom you should not share that consent part, should not share the PHI part, sorry, thank you. And then where you should not do the person health information, otherwise where you should not give the hand off or hand on over means in common areas like public places like a crash scene, otherwise common areas in the ED, there you should not share, otherwise there you should not get a hand off or by giving a hand in over, you should not. So where, to whom we should not, where we should not. Third point, where we can disclose the information, to whom we can give the information. Public health authorities who are legally authorized to receive a such report for purpose of preventing or controlling disease or injury or disability. So it's somewhat related to government agencies. Legally mandated reporting for the purpose of MLC, medical legal cases we are reporting means dog bite, gunshot wound, allergy, child abuse or neglect means for that purpose of MLC we can legally mandated reporting, for that purpose we can disclose. Authorized data collection and research by the public health agencies. Also we can disclose the information as like we know if we want to do research in hospital setup means will always disclose the information of, otherwise we'll get a permission from the ethical committee. So with the ethical committee permission we can disclose the information. And then wherever you are giving that personal health information, they should have a law authorized request by the law enforcement agencies. If the person from the public health agencies, otherwise you want to report a legally mandated means there you have to authorized person signature, otherwise authorized person report or statement you should have. If you want to do a research in hospital, otherwise outside hospital means there you have to clear the ethical committee clearance. That also if they have means then you can disclose the person information. And then sharing of health information for the purpose of insurance and billing, that also we can disclose, but the main agreement we have to do with them is they should not disclose a person information without without the other insurance company, otherwise without the other person. So we have to make a clear agreement with them. So this is about the where we should not, where we can. And then this is also most important thing. Most of the time as a EMT person will take a picture of the crash scene to get some idea regarding that mechanism of injury, how that nature of injury, how might be the impact. To get some clues will take some pictures. Otherwise most of the ambulance they will empowered with the crew empowered with cameras. So in this thing, what's the thing we have to keep in mind means it should not contain, either it's a crew, otherwise in a crash scene, it should not contain any patient identifiers in that picture or in that video. It should not contain the patient identifiers. Why? Because means it could allow someone who was not involved in patient care to identify the patient. Everything we are coming under the two conclusion. We have to take consent. Second thing, we should not share the personal health information to the other person who is not involving in patient care. So these are the things falls in the two major things. One first part consent, second part where we have to where we should not disclose the information. So the other last final important thing is a patient dumping. What is meant by dumping? Dumping means if you are refusing care to the person who is poor and otherwise uninsured, means if some person is a poor otherwise the person doesn't have any insurance means there if you are denying medical care, otherwise there you are denying the medical screening, otherwise you are denying the assessment part means that will comes in the legal issue of patient dumping. So what are the things comes under means because of the poor, if you are sending a woman in labor to distant hospital means that it will falls in the category of patient dumping. In ED emergency department, denying medical screening or stabilizing treatment means that will comes under the dumping. And staff is inappropriately transfer a person whose condition is unstable. Again, if you are receiving one case, in that while transport, if you found the person is poor or uninsured means you should not, the person is already in unstable state, so you have to think about where we can shift easily, and then multi approach purpose, the person will get a best care. You should not think about that financial status, because the financial status will carried out, otherwise they will deal with the other entity also we have, other departments also we have. But our main goal is it should not based on that money. It will we have to always act in like a good faith, do no harm. Those are the things we have to keep in mind. As much as possible, we have to give the best care. It should not based on that person's money. It should based on our interest. And then other important thing they are giving is economic triage. We may heard about the lot of triage, salt triage, start triage, and then we heard about the medical triage, field triage. But here they are giving like a economic triage. What is the economic triage means? Most patient dumping occurred when hospital staff discovered that the patient did not have health insurance or it was otherwise unable to pay. Again the same thing only, the person unable to pay, poor, otherwise uninsured, they have don't have any insurance means, if the staff is finding and then they will denying every care means, that will called as a economic triage. It's a most common otherwise most common thing in the medical legal part. So patient dumping, it should not, as a paramedic we should not, we have to act in good faith, and then we have to give a most effective care in that while transport, while doing assessment, and then while giving a treatment also. So and then finally we'll see one scenario and then we'll disclose the presentation. So you are eating a breakfast at 7:37 hours when you are dispatched to 487 Luke Street for an unresponsive person. So while you are en route, you and your partner discuss what could be the possibly be wrong with the patient. Either you, so you got a call like an unresponsive person, so you are discussing like either it might be a cardiac arrest, either it might be a hypoglycemia or stroke. So you arrive on scene at 7:42 hours and are met at the ambulance by a woman who tells you that her 64-year-old mother is acting strangely this morning. And then she says that she would not respond to her at all, and then she started talking out of her head. She also says her mother does not want to go to the hospital. So previous presentation, otherwise previous slide we seen, without consent we should not do any other steps. We should not simply assessment also without consent we should not do. So here the person appears like a altered mental status. The bystander is explaining her condition. So here what type of consent you will take? Because again already we told consent and then PHI regarding the PHI. If you didn't take the consent means that will comes under the lot of legal issues. So the person is acting altered mental status, person is there, bystander is there. So what type of consent you will take from the person? So in detail, what are the type of concern, and then what we have to act in altered mental status, how we have to take the concern, what are the type of concern, and then what is mean by refusal, how we have to act in that situation, what is mean by DNR, those are the things we are going to elaborately we are going to see in next video. So keep in touch, do your best, shalom.